Hi everyone, welcome to Adobe Live. I'm Flynn. I'm delighted to be here with Ramez Harikrishnasamy. How are you, Ramez?
I am good. Thank you for pronouncing my surname right.
I did it all right. I think you're too kind. I'm
Yes.
sure. I'm sure it was way off, but yeah, thank you for trying. We were chatting before we went live to see if I could actually do it, but that's about as good as we can expect. So yeah, thanks for letting me try. Hello, chat. Great to see you all there. Some friendly faces. Johanna, thanks for being in. Chat with us. Hey, D, R&B. Yasunari is here as well. Great to see you. I'm very excited to see you, Ramez. And yeah, and everyone, if you could just look around, see if you can find Festus anywhere. I'm sure he'll be here soon. Yeah, missing just Festus from the crew. So, um,
Right.
yeah, thank you. So we're actually really excited to have you here, not only because you're an amazing person and very talented artist, but you're also in Malaysia and we're in Sydney and we're broadcasting around the world, which is just a pretty sweet thing that we're able to do.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and just I think it's just really important to just acknowledge what's happening around the world. I know some of you in
Mhm.
chat, some of you regular watchers of Adobe Live, some of the other streamers have acknowledged what's happening. We've seen it all over social media. What's happening to our friends and family in the US and abroad. Um, we've been saddened and outraged by the multiple tragedies that have impacted the black community in the US, following the murder of George Floyd. And it's just an ugly reminder of the racism and hatred that exists both in the United States and around the world, and the harsh reality that many in our community and watching this and in chat have to deal with every day of their lives. So, for those of us in Australia, it's a reminder of our own failures towards, our Indigenous people, the Indigenous people of this land, and other people of color. So, racism is never acceptable, and we must work together to make the world a better place. And it looks like there are the beginnings of steps towards that, hopefully. We have viewers in the US and around the world. So, wherever you are, we're with you. And we hope you're safe. And this is a safe space. And yeah, so thanks for that. Thanks for letting me kind of get that off our chest, and we'll start in that way before we kind of get stuck in. Okay, great. Yeah, not the usual happy happy fun start that we would normally have,
No,
but
but it's a great reminder. It's a great reminder for everybody, to just respect everybody, no matter who they are, where they're from. I think that's one of. I think it's a nice way to start this session. Thank you for
yeah.
doing that.
Okay, well, thank you, Remus, and thanks everyone in chat. So we will get stuck into it. I promise. We actually have like such a crazy exciting day today. So not only do we have Ramez on here with us, we're going to get stuck into some of his amazing artwork, and all the stuff that he creates very soon. But we also have Jeff Chen coming on as well. We wanted to do a double today because we haven't done as much streaming. So we have Jeff Chen coming in at 11:30. So in a couple of hours, just half an hour after our stream with Ramez. So we've got a full day with you, and I'm really excited to be back in action. But we're here with Ramez, and I would really want to introduce those who aren't familiar with your work to your work. So let's have a look
Yeah.
over at some of your work. Let's have a look at some of your pieces and get to know you.
Sure. Uh, okay. So here you go. This is
So
this
just
is
on your, s-
my
oh, there we are. Okay, great. Yeah, we can see.
yeah. So as you can see, these are my artworks. And I like to explore right now the theme on the Hindu mythology. I
Mm.
feel there's so much of information and stories can be portrayed or tell or connect with the people outside. Okay, and this is one of my recent artwork that I've done yesterday. It's just to highlight one of the incident that happened in Kerala, where a mother elephant ate a pineapple stout with crackers. So I later find out that it's actually to chase away all the boars in the forest, but it's so unfortunate because the elephant ate it and it was pregnant and the baby died as well. So it's a really sad thing.
Oh no.
And yeah, very sad thing. And yeah, these are my artworks, and I want to highlight this particular one where I think this is my way of appreciating all the frontliners, using my ideas, my concept of connecting goddesses. Because for us, the living goddesses right now at this time is our frontliners. So I was just imagining, what if the Hindu god, one of the Hindu god, take out her crown and place it onto the nurses and all the doctors, because these guys are like our heroes. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and most of
Ooh.
your work is it done through like Photoshop and photo manipulation?
Yes, that's right. It's all done using Photoshop only. It was never done using any other softwares, because I love Photoshop so much. So yeah.
Cool. We're in the right place then. That's good. Ferez in chat is saying, gosh, this guy is my biggest inspiration. Thank you so much for having him on today. We're very
Thank you,
lucky.
Faris. That is my manager.
Oh, you're the best manager. That's so good. Good job. So supportive.
Yeah, he is. He was like messaging me yesterday. He thought it was yesterday, and I was like, no, the live stream is today, and just why don't you just be patient? And so yeah, he's finally here.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. That's so good. So, so we're going to get started in a minute then. I'll hand over to you in a sec. For those of you familiar with the stream, you know what I'm going to say. We have a Q&A timer here for about 50 minutes. That takes us to our halfway point, where we'll take a bit of a break and we'll get stuck into some questions. I've got lots of questions, but of course, if you have questions as we go, please ask them in chat. And you can ask any questions you want, as we're going along. We just tend to kind of hang on to those big questions that take a little bit longer to answer at our midway point. We're here for 2 hours today with Ramez, and yeah, I'm really excited. Do you want to get stuck into it? You ready to go?
Yes, yeah, I can't wait. So this is this photo manipulation I've done just exclusively for this live streaming. Nobody have seen it, right? So I want to start something fresh, and the concept will be a little bit surreal, and it's something that I enjoy doing back then. That's how I got started. I got stuck in this photo manipulation world. So yeah, I like to start photo manipulation with a concept, so that there's a story behind it. So first thing first, as you can see, I already laid out all my stock images they're going to use to create this photo manipulation through library. It's easier way for me to even share with my friends if they want to give it a try as well. So here, I like to do the composition first. Like for example, as you can see here, there's an image like this, and I'll just lay it out this way. Control T to just flip it over, because I have something in mind. Hopefully that will work. And I also have the background. So I'm gonna just move that right at the back here. Okay, move that back, resize it. And you can always play with the opacity so that you can actually see all the different layers. There you go, just like that. That is perfect. And I also have skull. This is actually very interesting. I was just looking for a skull. I didn't know cat's skull can look so good.
Is that
That's
a cat skull?
That's a cat. Yeah, exactly. So that's that. And because I was looking for a dinosaur or something, but this fits perfectly for my concept. So I'm gonna just resize it.
Cool.
Just like this. Ignore the guy over there in the background. We'll remove him later. And next, I have the main character for this photo manipulation. I'm gonna just take, and here's the concept, right? He's alone. He's just wandering around while hiking, and then he actually stumbled upon this particular surreal scene where he saw a huge skull, not knowing what is it, and he climbed up and he was looking towards the mountain. So that's the concept. And in today's session, we're going to learn how do I combine all this together, cut them out, and then so that it looks like it's like a real picture. Like nobody can guess that it's actually a photo manipulation. Photo manipulation's challenge is always that. So how do you make sure that it looks real, right? And there's a bag there. I like to do composition this way to see if that bag fit his body at the back here, so that it looks real in terms of placement and everything. But the thing is, I'm not gonna place it there. So I was just imagining, what if he had have his bag placed down here before he jumped out on the skull and then looking at the view from up there. Here. That, and I also have this rusty ring. I like to get this ring right in between the mountains. So it'd be nice to just resize this. I'll just reduce the opacity so that I can move it up here.
And what is that?
A bit more. It's actually I think it's that, when you go by the pots, like the place where you put in the cables, when you when you have the boats at the side of the yacht, it's like that rusty ring that you hook up all the anchor and stuff. Yeah, but I'm gonna utilize it in a different way. So that's what I like to do. Sometimes people have no idea. It could be a very simple thing, but it all depends on our imagination. Yeah, so I'm gonna just reduce that so that I can see the placement of the ring, make it slightly bigger. Perfect, thanks. Okay, so now smoke will come later, and so to get started, what I usually do is I will start from the base, right? So I'm gonna make this clear, and I need to edge this out. There are many ways to do it. One of my favorite one, because the surface is pretty rusty and it's like very sharp. I like to use the Polygonal Lasso, the magnetic one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go in there and just move my mouse just like that. You can also use quick selection tool, select subject, that might work. It's just that I want to get really detailed here, so I will use this, and then I'll just do that. And there. And to refine the side edges, I'll just use the Polygonal Lasso. There you go. So I press Shift so that I know the area that I want it to select. There you go. That might work, and then I'll just mask it. So now I have the base. Next, I want to put in the, so we have the skull. So I'm gonna get the skull ready. There you go. I'm gonna just do a quick select subject method here. So let's go to quick selection and select subject. And let's see if all the areas will be selected. It's pretty high resolution, so.
And it's just it's like white on a black background, so that's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be very easy. Yeah. So there you go. Masking is perfect. Okay, here's little tips. You see, once I highlighted, you can still see a tint of black lines all over the skull, right? So I want like a clear cut from the background. I don't want all these black little patches all around the skull. In order to fix this, all you have to do is go to filter, go to other, and minimum. See what happened at the back. I can adjust the radius and I can reduce the amount of detailing I want. So if you can see the preview, now you see it. Now I can even reduce it by another point. There you go. That looks better. I don't have to go in, create a brush and brush it off and everything. It saves my time.
Yeah. There's actually a question about the images as well.
Sure.
So just a question on the photos, like where are the photos coming from? The question is, are you taking the photos? But I'm assuming these are stock.
These are all stock images that I got it from Adobe Stock.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the best thing about Adobe Stock is that you can actually search all these whatever stock image that you want from here. So I can even look for skull right away in my Photoshop. Once I found the one that I want, I can just drag it in and get things done. Okay. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah. So that's that. Let's move on. Well, thanks for asking that question. That's a very good question. A lot of people do ask me, where do I get all my stock images? So next, we're going to work on the guy. As you can see, I already placed it on top. I'll just move it up just like that. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, we're not going to work on the colors yet. First, we're going to just move you remove all the backgrounds first. So I'm gonna try to select subject. Let's see if the guy gets selected. Perfect. It's almost there. So I'm gonna do some refining over there. So here's what I'm gonna do. I just press alternate to remove this part, and I'm gonna just go in and select the rest of his book. For some reason, I like to use lasso. It because of the sharp edges, I get a clear cut of any objects. There you go. That's selected, and I'll just go in here.
And are you using a mouse or are you using a stylus,
I'm
like a Wacom or anything?
I'm using the trackpad.
Trackpad.
Yeah, yeah. So the things I used mouse before, and then sound right for me to actually move around with it. So what I did was I learned how to use trackpad so that I can save space on my bag where I just need to carry laptop.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use trackpad quite a lot too. It takes a while to get used to it, but you can do quite a lot.
Yeah, you can actually. It's that. Okay, let me zoom out. Oh, we have a bit more here. Okay, that looks good. Okay. And then you just press screen. That is perfect. He's up there. Let's move him here a bit, and then let's work on the back. So you have placed the back right underneath here. Let's move in. Select subject. Basket. Because they have a bit more over there. So just press.
So what do you do if you have an image but the angle's not quite right, or am I jumping ahead?
No, this is a very good question. So that's a very, very hard question, even for myself. The thing is, right, even if it's not the image that you wanted, because of all the different tools that we have in Photoshop, I will usually modify it according to my preference. I think that's the beauty of Photoshop, because it allows you to manipulate in any way that you want it. So I want to put back there, and let me on the background. Just resize it a little bit. There you go. Okay, that works. And then I also have the ring. So we're gonna go ahead and just do a quick selection. It's perfect. Let's mask it away.
Very quick.
As you can see, all this, yeah, the images here, right? As you can see, they're all different in terms of lighting, and then also the contrast. So in this 2 hours, we will learn how to modify all these colors so that as if they're all taken at the same saturation or contrast level. So that's that.
Cool.
I'm gonna just leave it there, and next we're gonna work on the shadow, lights and shadow. So very, very important when it comes to Photoshop to have for manipulation to have the right lighting and shadows. Reasons because it creates the realism. Else it will look as if it's a cut and paste job. So we're not going to do that one. So yeah. So that, and what I'm going to do is right on top of this ground, I'm going to create a new mask. new layer, and I'll just mask it. I'm just gonna press alternate so that it'll be masked. Okay, let's call this shadow. I'm gonna first work on the shadow of the skull. So there's many ways to do it. What I'll do is usually I'll just use Polygonal Lasso to create the space of the shadow. I can even use brush if I want, but I like to do it this way because I have a control of the amount of shadow or the radius of it. So once I did that one, I'll just press B for my brush. And oh, here's another thing about Photoshop. You can also have tool presets. You know how if you want to change something or choose a new brush, you need to go in here, which takes a lot of time. What I do is with the tool preset, I like to lay it out this way so that I can quickly go in, get things done, and move on.
Ah,
I save a lot.
great.
Yeah, I love to do it that way. And also, when you're working on your artwork, and let's say, for example, right, just now my color was actually red. Of course, shadow is black, right? So rather than go into this color spectrum here, move my mouse underneath, there's always a shortcut to change your color palette to black and white. You just hit D for donkey, and it will switch to black and white. Yeah. So that's a.
I like it.
So and I'm gonna increase my brush size and start brushing.
As
Right?
you do,
That's
as you
how-
do that, there was a question, which is great timing for your question, Anthony, because it relates to how you've laid everything out. He was just asking,
Sure.
have you set up and saved your own workspace in Photoshop? And it looks like you have. You've customized your workspace for how you
Yeah,
work.
this is my workspace. Yeah. So I usually have all my layers on the side, and I also have my tool presets, and then I know my colors are here. And sometimes whenever I want to zoom in or whatever I want to do, I like to hide my panel here, and so I have a view right on the right hand side of my Photoshop. So I won't touch my left panels. So it's always static. I don't drag my layers to the side and then move my artwork up there. And then when I need to edit something, I know the layer is blocking my artwork. Then I have to move the layer the other way around. I think I've
Right.
seen many designers does that. It's like a waste of time. So when you do it this way, it's in your control. So you are the master. So you go in there. It's like orchestra. So you control everything. So yeah, workspace, and I love it this way. I struggled before where the example I give you before this, where I just move things around, and I found it's a really a waste of time to get things done. Yeah. So I can just do that. Okay, even though the shadow is pretty harsh over here, don't worry. I'll fix it later. That so I'm gonna just mask the shadow a bit.
It's cool. And just a shout out, thanks Tunk for helping me fix my levels. My levels were all over the place, my audio levels. And JB is in the chat. Hello, JB. Remez, you know JB?
Yes, JB, hi. Thanks for joining. And here's another way of getting things done when it comes to shadows. For example, what if I want to extend the shadow? There are many ways to do it. I like to do this way. Just press Ctrl T, right click, and choose the warp, right? By doing that, you get to pull the shadow just like that, rather than go in there, brush it again, and then erase and everything. So use the shadow that's already available. Just right click and use the warp. It's one of my favorite tools because as you can see on my photo manipulation stuff in my Instagram, I use a lot of like movement, like when it comes to clothing and stuff like that, where I need to use the warping. It's so handy.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna go in here. Okay. For now, this looks good, but I'm gonna now go in quickly. Since we are at the ground here, I'm gonna work on the skull and shadow as well. Here, okay, now that my brush is selected, it's black in color, I can always make a shadow. Okay, another thing about photo manipulation, lighting and shadows, like I said before, you need to know where the light comes from. And you have all the full control of it. Right now, I want the light comes from the somewhere around top right.
Right.
So you need to remember that. Some people, what they do is, I've seen some artists, what they do is they will pick the a yellow light or something, they'll just put it there. So they know that is the sun. right?
Oh,
So
right.
yeah, and then you can do that. So there's like a reminder because you're so busy working on it. Well, you can do that, and also it's helpful. See, I don't have to do a lot of editing on this guy, and as you can see, the lighting is already perfect, more or
Mm.
less. So that's perfect. So I'm gonna remove that one, and I'm gonna go to the shadow. And here, in order to add the shadow of the skull, I'll just choose black, and I'm gonna just go to the blending mode to soft light. When I do soft light, meaning it will maintain the texture and you just add the light. For
Right.
example, now I'm trying to, another tips of photo manipulation. You don't get things done for the sake of get things done. You need to make sure that it looks real. In order to feel whether or not it's real, you need to feel that you're there. This is the
Mm.
beauty of photo manipulation. You need to imagine you're standing there and looking at this scene right now. So yeah, so you need to, then in that case, then I know I need to add more shadows here because as I said, the shadows, the lights are coming from the top right.
Right. So
Yeah.
what makes you decide where the light is going to come from? I can see that image in the background, you know, that has like a setting sun or a rising sun. So is that
Yeah.
usually what you'll use to dictate, you know, a background or something like that?
Yeah. So you find a reference that's already there in the image. And if you know, I mean, for example, if I were to have the sun on left hand side, then I just flip it over,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's all in your control. But in order to also fix colors, the base photos that you already have, utilize it. For example, and you can see you can feel there's a lot of brown colors all around, like a brown tint. So that could also be some sort of like a tips for you to actually make sure the lighting and everything else around this picture looks a bit like a sepia colors,
Mm.
so that at the end you get to see how I blend everything into one. So yeah,
Great.
photo manipulation is like so much fun.
And there
I
was
can
just a
do this all
question
day long.
around.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got lots of questions, but there was just a question
Oh wow.
around
Yeah.
uh, what you're using a trackpad at the moment, but so there were some questions around using a stylus of some kind in some of your Instagram work, and I think you use like HP. Like, can you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about what you use?
Sure. So I'm using the HP pen. It's a G2 pen that comes with the ZBook.
Right.
And another best thing about this laptop is that, like I said, I use my trackpad to cut and everything. To zoom, you can never see me go to the magnifier and switch my panel because I'm using my fingers to
Ah,
zoom in.
right.
That's the best part. So it's like a laptop and Wacom combined together. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
and the pen is so handy when it comes to little detailing. When there's a lot of like a very when it comes to lighting, there's a lot of like sharp edges that you need to do a bit of touch up. Pen works perfectly.
Cool.
So that's that. Okay, I'm gonna add in shadow. Again, there's a lighting coming from top. It's always on my head. I know where am I gonna put the shadows. I'm gonna make this slightly darker. So you can see the before and after. So if I hide the shadow, you can see the difference, right? So you need to remember that the light is coming from top and where the lights will get hit. Like for example, right on top of here. So I'm going to maintain that as a bright spot and the rest dark. And I also going to create another shadow for the skull, but this time I'm going to use another way of getting shadows done. Use the gradient, but again, same thing. I zoom out a bit and I'll show you how that's done. I just zoom out and drag just like that. You can also do
Hmm.
that, right? So it looks real. So in here, I didn't use any blending mode because I want to have that soft shadow right on top of it. So the detailing part already done, you can see. And the shadows is a very subtle one to make sure that it looks real. So
Great.
that's that.
Will
And
you often
going,
use both of those? Are you showing us
yes,
two different techniques, or will you often use
these
both?
are the, I often use both.
Mm, great.
Yeah. So it's nice to have a few layers of shadow, and the blending mode here makes a lot of difference. Like for example, if this is soft light, you can see how it looks like when it comes to overlay, right? It's very harsh.
Mm,
And hard light have a different treatment to it. So yeah, this this usually what I say to my designer is that this is a gift of God. Without this, photo manipulation will look meh. So yeah, this blending mode is just a fun thing to do. And next, I'm gonna work on the back. So here you go. I'm going to work on the shadows. And also, if you notice, there's the same thing. Whenever I do any masking, I still get to see all these white edges around it. I'm going to fix that exactly the same way I did on the skull, so that I don't have to switch to masking, change my brush, and just adjust the edge. So let's go to the filter, other, and minimum. Here, I'm going to just reduce it to 1. That is perfect. You can see the before and after. Save a lot of your time. So that's that. So the back is there. And the back got to look very dark. Not so dark, but still visible enough because it's at the back of the skull and there's no light reaching to the back. So that's something that you need to remember.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create a shadow for the back. I'm going to switch my brush. I'm going to make a shadow underneath here.
And just letting anyone know that there's quite a few people watching on YouTube. You can come over to behance.net/live if you want to join chat. Come in, say hello.
Yep, come and say hello. There we go. Just gonna create a new layer again. This is shadow as well. And then there. See, without any lights and shadow, this is how it's gonna look like. It looks flat. So you need to, I think the only way for you to get better and photo manipulation is to do, this is my favorite mantra. It's a 3-word, it's the same word, but repeat 3 times. It's practice, practice, and practice. That's my mantra. No matter what you do in life, this mantra is very important. So that's that. And I'm gonna now, let me reset this view. Add shadow right underneath the ground. So this is the shadow. I'm gonna move down. Okay, and of course the back right now it's on the side of the skull. So I'm just gonna go to the skull one, skull layer, and add. There you go. That's perfect. And you will leave the guy for a bit. And okay, as you can see, the perspective wise, there's a ground, there's a skull, there's a guy standing on the skull, and there's a ring and the mountain. The separation between this current mountain that he's standing, the hill, and the mountain right in front of him, it looks flat, right? There's some, I don't know how far it is. And in order to fix that, there's a wing. Here's the tips.
I like it.
You go to the mountain, right on top of that mountain, you add a little shade. And that shade is like this. In order to pick the color of the shade, you can do it straight away. You can color pick from anywhere around here. I'll say this works. Change to gradient and push up just like that. So without this, it looks flat. Now when I have this, there is some sort of like a mist. You can see now the perspective wise here, it's sharper. And even if you were to do a real hiking, you stand on a hill, the further it goes, the faded it will go. Similar way. So
Right.
it can be harsh or whatever it is, and also here the ring is pretty. You can see this, the contrast level is just too high up, but the mountain is fade away. So that's the best part, where you get to go in and change the shadow and lighting. So that's I think that looks good. But again, I'm not done with the shading here. Next, I'm gonna add in smoke. Here's the tips. a lot of people ask me, how do I remove this background? It's black in color, and you said that you want to add mist. It will be a really hassle thing to do. Well, there's a way to do it. What you need to do is, first you just move the smoke over here. Here, in this case, the smoke acts like a haze. Sorry, a mist for me. So I'm gonna just press Control T, and I'm gonna do a bit of distort. Okay, just like that, and move up a bit. Okay, in order to remove the black background, all you have to do is the blending mode. Just choose screen. When you choose screen, all the dark spot will just move away. Now you have like a little mist around it. And then I would like to do a lot of like a movement thing, because of course mist is not just in one level. There's a bit of movement. So I'll use the warp. When I use the warp, I get to move in whichever way that I want.
The warp tool again, your favorite.
Yeah, my favorite. So you can utilize this for a lot of different ways. So right now, before this, I was using it for the shadow. Now I'm using it for the mist.
Cool. There's actually a question about resolution. Do you work with high resolution photos?
Yes, and also it's very important to know where this artwork goes. For example, when I create my artwork, they're all for social media and stuff, like to be shared on social media, like Instagram, Facebook, and all. So I don't really work on a very, very high resolution unless it's for posters. Then it's different. 300 dpi plays a very important role. So for this, maybe 72 or 100 dpi works, because again, it's for social media. So yeah.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
Problem. Okay, that's that. And now we're gonna, and I think it would be nice to also add another smoke right here. So that is later. So now I'm gonna fix the lighting and shadow for this guy over here. So let me create another shadow on top. Press Alt, alternate, so that I can just mask that. And shadow, go in here. And the light is hitting him on the right hand side. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna just change my cursor. And I'm gonna change to my favorite blending mode, soft light. Reduce my brush. And start adding the shadow. There you go. Go in here. Next, I am going to go to his face and have a bit of dark spot around it.
There was another question. What are some considerations you keep in mind when creating work for social media?
In terms of like,
it might be extending from thinking about like 72 DPI and what sort of, is there anything else you have to keep in mind?
yes, I'll say the dimension of the canvas of the artwork. That's the reason why I made it square, right? So when you have a square thing, it's like one size fit all. So you can go to Twitter without any cropping, so that works. And if you also notice on Instagram, there's two sizes that you can add in for images. There's also a portrait size. If I'm not mistaken, it's 1350 times 1080. Right. So you can have a portrait size of it. So, and I think some people want to show more. Imagine you're working on a building or something, right? When you do a square, you have to squeeze everything in. So when you have a portrait, you can show more. But just that when you go to the Instagram's feed of your feed, you get to see all, when there's a mosaic of all your artwork, it will get cropped, the top and bottom part, obviously because it's a portrait, right? But when you see it, when you press on it, you get to see the full resolution of the image.
Right.
So now, just now it was a shadow, but it's a soft light. Now I'm going to change to the normal shadow, as if without any blending. You can see I love to use flow rather than opacity. Flow, it's like the intensity of the hardness of the brush, right? Like a pressure. Flow is like the transparency of it. So I love to use flow. And I'll just brush it, just like this.
And there's another question. How did you learn? It's a great question because this is very difficult, I think, for people. It's probably quite natural to you now, but it takes a long time to learn. How did you learn how light behaves on different materials and how, like, where to place shadows and things like that?
A very, very, very good question. Thanks. It okay. For example, we can even look at this photo manipulation itself, right? So you can see the skull has a very matte surface, right? That's
Right.
one, right? So and also if there's a statue, usually even in comes to like any statues of goddesses or something, there's also a marble base statue. There's also clay types of statues. Those are different materials. In order to fix or do any sort of like a manipulation on top of it, you need to understand the surface. Of course, it comes with a lot of like observation. I like to watch movies a lot. Again, as you can see at the back here, I'm like a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
By doing that, you get to learn how people play with lighting. I think movies is one of the good reference. Um, so when you watch all this movie, you know how blending mode works. You can see different materials being used to create a different scene. It comes with a lot of observation and in real life as well. And also when it comes to shadow and lighting, you don't have to go far. You can also look at things around you. For example, I have this pen over here, and there's a light. So when I go, when I place this pen close to the wall, I see a very soft kind of a shadow. But when I go closer, it becomes sharper. So that's how you also learn. For example, even the shadows they're gonna put on top of this skull, it won't be a sharp one because the sun, as you can see, is not the harsh type that I have in mind.
Right.
Right? All the shadows I here are very soft, meaning the sun it's like during sunset. So yeah, it's that's you need to do a lot of observation.
A lot of
There's a lot
observation.
of
Yeah.
observation, and you get to see it in real life. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can even play with the sun slide that's coming over, and then the texture you're wearing right now, the clothes, it's very rusty. You can see little threads coming out from your clothes. So yeah, it's yeah, like I said, it comes with a lot of observation.
Oh, excellent. That's a great answer. Thank you so much.
So that's that. Here is perfect. It's good. So now, before I work on the ring, I'm gonna just slowly fix the lighting of the images that I already cropped. Like for example, the skull over here. I'll just pick the layer of the skull. I'm gonna go to the adjustment layer icon, and I'm gonna just go in, choose color balance. This is the first step of me creating or do some sort of like a color adjustment. There'll be another one right at the end. So here, because it's a sunlight and you will have this yellow reddish tint, I'm going to apply it to my props. Right now I'm working on the skull. So you can see the before and after. So I think that is perfect for now. If I close, if I show in high, you can see the difference. So there's a lot of tint around it. Same goes for the back. I'm going to go to the back and add in the color balance, and then okay, that works. And the ground, adjustment layer, color balance, that works. Okay, let's reset my view. Okay, that's perfect. And okay, as you can see, the shadows and lighting on this guy could be really harsh, and the contrast level between the skull and the guy, there's a difference in it. So I need to tone down the contrast. There's many ways to get this done, and this is one of my favorite way. In order to fix that, all you have to do is go to the man layer, create new layer, pick a color. For example, I like this over here, and I'm gonna change my tool to paint bucket and drop. So once you drop, okay, you can see the before and after. So I'm gonna just reduce the opacity to 0 so that you'll see the difference now. So and I'm gonna slowly go up. And the you can see the contrast will be different. There are many ways to do this. You can also go to the select the layer of the guy, and you can go to the brightness and contrast. But this way better because you also play with two things: contrast and the color balance. Yeah. So
Interesting.
so you
I've
can
never
see.
seen that technique before.
All right. This is also comes with a practice where I try to figure out how can I shorten the time to create something, but
Yeah,
yet still looks powerful.
that's
So
very
that's
cool.
that. And okay, time to work on lighting of the skull. So I'm gonna create a new layer. I just gonna call it sun, and I'm changing my brush. I'm gonna create some sort of like a lighting. I'm gonna color pick from my color spectrum. That might work. Change it to soft light, and I'm not sure if you can see, there'll be a lighting right on top here. And then I'm gonna just apply it here a bit. You always adjust the color that you have added. For example, if you are not so into this colors of sunlight, always Control B for the color balance and adjust it. You don't have to erase it and then add in another different color. So that's how I do. That might work. I would like to add more shadows to the inner part of the eyes. That's perfect.
And we've got
Okay.
about 13 minutes until we'll take our Q&A. There's some great questions in there. I might hang on to some of those
Okay.
until our break, so we can keep going. But yeah, there's some great
Awesome.
questions for our break, and keep them coming.
Cool. So next, I'm gonna just work on the ring. So as you can see, the ring is placed on top of the mountain. And of course, there are many ways that you can blend both of these different subjects of the mountain and the ring. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just reduce the opacity so that I get to see where I can merge the ring and the mountain. So if I go in here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly just increase the size, move it up, just like this, press enter. Look at this. And also, when it comes to composition, it's very important to know a lot of questions that I get asked is that the eye view. For example, if I'm looking at a person, you need to know where they're looking at and whether or not they're looking. If the main subject is here and you're looking at the other direction, doesn't make sense. So you need to work also when it comes to eye contact. For example, this guy now is looking towards the hole, so you know that. And yeah, this is very important. For example, if there's something flying in front of you, your eye view, where will it go? So if I've done so many with the manipulation where I literally move the face and the eyeball towards where it's supposed to be. So yeah.
I mean that's like a technique that the painters have used since
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Renaissance. Like the direction they're pointing or looking needs to tell a
yeah,
story.
yeah,
That composition.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's very
yeah.
interesting that you use it with your digital artwork.
I'm gonna just rub this a bit. Okay, now blending mode. So there are many ways to do this. Brushes also plays a very important role. That's the reason why you can see in my preset here, I have my burn and dodge tool right on top, because if you to access this, you need to go in here and then access it, right? Now we're going to talk about brushes. When I do shadings or any masking, the textures here plays a kind of like will help you in terms of deciding what brushes to use. So in here, soft brush won't work. So I'm going to switch it to my also another favorite brush that I have is the oil pastel brush, because of the surface of the mountain. It's a sand, right? So you don't have to use. It's not like cloud. Cloud is soft, fluffy and stuff. Then you use the soft brush. For this, you gotta use this. So I'm gonna reduce the flow, and I'm gonna slowly brush as if it's in between the mountain.
So So you're trying to make it seem like it's a natural, or like it's merging
yeah,
together.
yeah, correct. I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna make a bit of like shadings here, as if it's merged with the mountains as well. Let's go here.
And just a reminder again for those on YouTube, jump over to behance.net/live. There's a link in that chat over there if you want to join us. We've got Q&A in 10 minutes. Lots of good questions. Keep them coming. Love to hear from you.
So it goes coming along good. I have tons of brushes, but then the one that I love to use is always this two. But it's amazing how by just using just two brushes,
That's the
you can
question
get
I was
things
about to ask. I was going to ask, is this a
Oh,
special brush, or is this just a normal brush
oh,
from Photoshop?
it comes with Photoshop.
Yep.
So if I just click on the brush, you can see there are many different type of brushes, and you can see in my recent use is always the same,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, but all the other brushes do come in hand in a good way. Where, for example, if I work on a photo manipulation where it requires me of a person sitting on a grass, so I can't be using the brush that I have right now, right? I rather use the brush that is like this here, for instance, because it has the movement or the edges of a grass. So yeah, you use the brush according to the surface. So yeah, so you can see it already comes with a tons of brushes. So yeah, that's one good thing about Photoshop.
Cool.
Here. And a little bit of tint. When it comes to photo manipulation, the more you add details to it, the more real it comes. But also you have to bear in mind to set a time. This is something that I love to do as well. I like to set a time when it comes to my work. I don't like to get carried away
Right.
because I'm so into the detailing part. And then if you do that right, one thing about practicing, you can get better at anything, but you can't get perfect. This is
Right.
something that I've learned. You get better, you won't get perfect.
Yeah.
So if you ever do a work and you're not happy with it, it's good because you have a chance to get things better for the next artwork. So yeah. So even now and then, whenever I look back at my photo manipulation that I've done on social media, there are times where I'll be like, oh my gosh, I should have just made the shadow better. Now it looks like just not right, because I remember back then probably I was rushing. There's
Right.
no point rushing because at the end of the day, your artwork won't look good according to what you really wanted. So yeah, don't rush to get things done. Take your time. Yeah, when you have a lot of time to get things done, I think your artwork will look better. So that it doesn't look like a rush job. Just for the sake of I gotta put something out on my social media. So yeah, let's don't do that. Sure.
Have you ever gone back and changed work, or do you leave it and you're like, no, that's done, time to move on to the next one?
Yeah, so I rather than go back and fix things, I rather get that new idea that I have and apply all the mistake that I've done earlier, apply it here
Right.
and get it better. So yeah,
Cool.
when you do that, then you can see how far you have come. Okay, I've done this mistake, I fix it now. And then look at the second artwork. Oh my god, I shouldn't have done that one. And then now you fix it. So yeah,
Awesome.
you learn from your own work. And people do also on and off ask me, who's your mentor? Okay, this doesn't sound right, but I don't want to self praise. But when you look at your own artwork that you've done back then or for many years, you should be your own role model. For example, if you do that, then you're comparing to yourself. But if you compare with somebody else who already achieved, like they have done so many artwork, they have gone like in a very high level right now. They also go through this, right? Nobody is perfect, and
Right.
when it comes to artwork, so they also go through a lot. Similarly, when it comes to myself, I want to compare myself to yesterday's Ramesh, whether or
Mm.
not he did good job. If he's not doing good job, then I have to fix it today. So I
Yeah.
like comparing myself. So yeah.
Oh, that's a great way, great attitude to have, and I think really good for anybody out there who is trying to learn something new or like improve. Like we're all improving, and it's great to. It's a really interesting perspective to be like looking back at what you've done and learning from yourself. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Because if you pick another person, then it's also a selfish thing. You can't blame anybody else. But when you pick yourself, you should blame yourself. Like, oh my god, I didn't do a good job, and then now I can blame myself. So yeah, you don't blame anybody else. You decide for yourself. Yeah. Let me just adjust this.
Chat is asking if you've saved your work at all.
I do. I do save, just that for this live session, I don't. Well, I can if I want to, but don't worry,
It's going to be okay.
it's gonna be okay. Positive
Everyone's
attitude.
getting anxiety.
Oh, really?
Got to keep you guys on your toes in chat, making you all
And
nervous.
also, also always um, learn. Like I said, observation. But I'm a Marvel fan. When I watch a lot of movies, I do have my own way of thinking, and I want to see if people do mistakes as well, like
Mm,
I do. For example, if you watch any movies, you see like Iron Man, he land on the ground, right? Imagine there's a car at the back. I want to see if that reflection hits the car, because car can be a metallic type. I want to see the reflection, and it will be there, and I'll be like, oh my god, they're
right.
trying to be perfect, right? And all, but these are things that motivates me. I think this is how I actually start photo manipulation.
Mm.
Back then, where I love watching movies and I transform myself into superheroes. If you just look up my name on internet, you get to see all these images. It's crazy. So that's how I've come. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, let me just increase the. So you can see now, if without any shadings, it will look matte. So right now, I'm trying to do blending and it's getting there. But of course, there's a problem. The reason is because the contrast issues here is so obvious. So I'm gonna work on that one. I create a new layer, and then I will just pick a color from the mountain itself, somewhere here. Change my tool to pick bucket, drop it, and then reduce the opacity to 0. Don't start from 100, and slowly increase it and see what happens. So when you do that, it looks like one. So without this, boom.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's how you fix it.
It's a great
And we're
technique.
going to work on the inner area of this so that it doesn't look too bright. So I'm going to work on that one. And I'm going to do a bit of color adjustment to the color that I've added here. Let's call it light. Oh, no. Let's call it. Let's And then I'm going to just press Control B again, and I can fix whatever color I want without even going out and adjust it again. So this was the 100%. I sorry, the real one 0, and now I'm going to push it up to cyan. You can see how now it's slowly blending. And also, if you look at the original image, I mean, this is the original image where it's a rusty ring by a
Mm.
pot, and this is a mountain, and the textures are also different. And yeah, so now we since we have the ring over here and we have a problem again, there's a lighting that should comes from the right hand side. So we're going to fix that one now. So I create a new layer, right? Call it light. And if you also notice, there's a light on top of this ring, which we're going to fix. And of course, in order to fix that, we use the stamping tool. I think not many people know this. A lot of people have problems. They think they can only stamp it. You have to stamp it on the same layer. There's also a function called current and below. I mean, most of the time by default, it will set to current layer. Change it to current and below. By doing that, you maintain the image. You don't touch the original image. You will just need to increase the brush, find a spot just like this, and then do this. I'm gonna just remove the lightings because that doesn't make sense for me. There you go, that's perfect. I'm gonna just do that there so that doesn't look repeat. There, that works. Okay. And also there's a function in Photoshop where you can remove the background with one click of a button. You guys can also try that one. I think it's a big feature where a lot of people are requesting for it. I remember I was at the Adobe Max last year, where when this feature was announced, everybody like, what? Yeah.
Which
so you don't have to.
Which feature was that?
The remove background.
Oh, yeah.
For example, yeah. And then, okay, for example, it's always under your property bar. And yeah, quick action, remove background. So this is good for those people who have like, I think most of the time it works good on a very contrast kind of image. For example, like a flat background, and then you have your subject very clear, and then it's easy to remove that way. But yeah, it does come in handy. Especially for marketers, I feel, because they need to get things done, and then for their marketing thing, they're like, I don't have any designers to help me crop this out from the background. They'll just use that button.
Right. Yeah. Press the button. We are at Q&A. We don't have to jump in right away, but we'll Q&A in the next minute or so. We can do it now, or up to you.
We can actually do it now.
Awesome. All right. Got heaps of questions. Let's start easy. You are a big Marvel fan. What's your favorite Marvel character?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Boom. Straight away. Done.
Yep.
Quick answer. I like it so much. There were some topics that I really wanted to ask you about your studying, and it actually came up in chat as well. So we'll combine those questions. My question was around where did you study, and there was also another question is asking, are you self-taught? Where did you learn all this stuff? So maybe you could talk about that journey. Sure.
So I discovered my passion, which is designing, right after I graduated, which is a sad thing because when I'm a business student, so I spent, of course, my parents spent so much money on it, and then I was never a happy person. Again, you come back from college, you sit in front, you put the bag, and you just sit in front of your computer, go like, what did I just study? Right? The inner happiness was not there. And I remember when I'm small, I love to do all the sketches and stuff. But there's just no voices around me that goes like, hey, Ramesh, why don't you just try designing courses or whatever? Because I think it's also the way I'm being brought up, and the exposure is different, right? When you see within Indian community as well, many years back, there was never, it's very hard to find an Indian person who can design. They're always exposed with doctor stuff, accounts and stuff like that. They feel that you can earn money. Of course, you need to be stable, right? So parents want that. So what I did was, right, and then I remember because I can sketch back then. So I tried to Google and find out what are tools that I can use to create stuff. Of course, Photoshop comes first, right? So I download, back then there was like a 30-day trial thingy where you download and you use it for 30 days. So I used that one and I know this is it. Straight away, I remember going to my parents, go like, Dad, this is it. This is what I always wanted to do, but I know it's too late. I've done my businesses. I don't want to go back. So I'm going to spend time every day doing this. So I spend at least 2 to 3 hours every single day. You won't believe. Until now, I am doing the same thing. because I'm so hooked up in it. Like I said, right, practice makes anybody better. Same thing. I've been doing it until today. So that's how I got started. I just self-taught because back then there's no YouTube, there's no free platform to tell you these are the things that you can do with Photoshop. You have to learn by yourself. I have to click all this toolbar and then learn. So yeah, self-taught.
Yeah. And so how long ago was that then? If there was no YouTube and
20
everything?
years.
20 years.
20 years.
Oh, so you would have been on forums and using the original
Yes,
Photoshop
yes.
and everything. My gosh.
Yes. I was using 5.0. That was the version that I used.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I was just after. I think I started using it around 6.
I
so
see.
yeah, you've been using Photoshop more than me. Incredible. There was a question a bit ago about asking, can you show examples of some commission photo manipulation works that you've done? So I don't know if you have anything available, but like any commission
work.
but I guess the
I do, but I don't.
Mm.
Yeah, there's one. The Heroes one is one of my favorite because also I need to talk about that concept, how I created the Honor Heroes campaign by Adobe. When Adobe kind of asked me like, "Hey Ramesh, so this is happening right now. All the creatives are all locked down in their room. Is there something you can do?" And as you can see on my team right now on my Instagram, they're all goddesses. It would be nice. Okay, and also if you not sure if you guys know, in India, doctors are known as a living gods, right? They save lives. So I was
So it's
using
like
that.
very
That
highly
comes.
respected.
Yes, exactly. Because whenever somebody save a person in a hospital, they just look at the god like, oh, you are like the god to me. So I use that concept. Plus, there's another concept behind it. Do you guys know? I know during graduation you have this hat that you wear. So I was thinking, what is the symbols or assets of a god for Hindu god? Especially the crown is such a majestic stuff. I think it would be nice to actually just take it and put it on top of the doctors because in a way to respect them because they also look up for all the doctors. So that's the concept. And somehow I managed to find the stock images on Adobe Stock and boom, it just went viral. And I remember even Adobe commented on the post saying that thank you. So yeah, that means a lot. And it reaches to all the doctors that are following me. They said they are touched. So it means a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Should we bring that image up? I know we showed it at the beginning,
Oh,
but
yeah, we
just in case,
We
it might
can
be
do
worth
that.
bringing it up just so we can. For those that didn't see it, we can check it out. We had some artists on Adobe Live cover it as well and take on the challenge.
So yeah, this is the image.
Your screen's actually gone black for me, so I won't convert it over
Oh.
yet. Not sure why.
Okay, 1 second. Sure.
That's
New
new.
screen. Okay, let me try again. It should work this time.
No, the whole thing,
Can you see it?
the whole screen's gone
Oh.
black.
Okay,
Unfortunately.
sure. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Can you
You could
share? And
maybe, yeah, maybe
There you go.
stop sharing and then reshare. I think.
okay,
Do you want to try doing that? Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna do that. Share screen, and I'm gonna share. Can you see it now? Let's.
No, you think I would be? Sorry, guys. 1 second. We'll work this out.
Oh, okay. Share. Share screen. That's weird.
It's really weird.
It says that your screen is paused. Okay. It says that I'm sharing right now. What do you see?
It does say that you've started sharing a screen, but it's all black.
Oh, that's so weird.
That is really weird. Sorry, guys. We'll just have to work this out.
Okay.
What if I do this? What if I force you to stop? Do you want to try it one more time and just
Sharing it.
yeah, try sharing it again.
Okay, share screen. Okay, it says that your screen is paused. That's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
What is? How do I? Okay. One second. Share screen.
Hmm.
Let's still say the same thing.
It's just all coming up black. Do you have multiple screens? Do you need to
I do. Okay,
maybe
hold on.
try
I'll
having a
just.
look at that?
Okay. Stop sharing.
Yeah, it's still coming in black. That's really weird.
You can't see. Okay.
It says you're screen sharing, but it's all just coming up completely black.
Okay.
Let me just double check. There's
I
nothing
gonna
crazy happening on my side.
share.
Sorry, guys. We'll work
You're
this out in a
sharing.
sec.
Okay.
Do you wanna just leave and come back in?
Okay, I can.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
If if ever in doubt, just turn it on and off, turn it off and on again. That's basically the best solution.
So I join back the Zoom, right?
Yeah, just join that group again. Yep. That's so weird. That's never happened before. Just a completely black screen. Cool. There you are.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my Photoshop first. Let's see if it's. Can you see now?
No. Ah, there you are. Hey-oh. All right.
Yay.
Maybe we should just
Awesome.
stay in. Maybe we should just stay in Photoshop.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah. So if you guys want to check it out, it's on my Instagram. So yeah.
yeah, that would have been easier. Yeah, totally. Cool. So yeah, so we've got the full screen here. So I just wanted to prove evidence that we have made it back. But we still have some Q&A stuff happening at the moment.
Cool.
But yeah, we'll stay just in Photoshop just to make sure that we can do the second part
Yes. Yep.
as we go. So actually, why don't we jump into it, because that probably took a bit away from our timing. But as we do, my final question is, I know you have a 2-year-old, maybe a wife. You work full time. How do you find the time to also be
Okay.
posting so much, learning at the same time? Because that time, I don't understand, that time management must be, I think a lot of people would look at that and wonder, how do you actually find the time to do everything that you're doing? Because you're going to work right after this stream, right?
Yeah. So I think it depends on your planning, right? For example, I do have a lot of people come to me go like, oh, 24 hours, it's not enough. I wish there's longer. You know what? You don't have to get a longer hours. I think the hours that we have right now is just fine. I think it's a matter of prioritizing stuff and also find out the things that you like to do in life. I think by doing that, you become a happier person.
Mm.
And when you become a happy person, people around you are happy, right? If you're frustrated, you'll show it to other people. And one of the main thing, of course, family is like my utmost important thing in my life. But I do have my passion that makes me a happier person inside. So in order to fix that, what I do is every day at night when everybody goes to sleep, I wake up. See, a lot of people sleep for 8 hours. Well, you can actually try to sleep for 6 hours and see if your body can take it. So that's how I study my body, and I feel that I'm not tired if I sleep for even 6 hours or 5 hours,
Really?
right? Uh, and then if you do that, you know that 3 hours can be used to do something, which is the work I'm doing right now, and it makes me a happier person. I get to get things done, and also I like to use my social media to portray like a I like to share a lot. So I think this platform that I have, like social media, is a very important place for you to grow as well. And for the young designers, if you're watching, if you want to have a resume, why don't you use social media as your resume? Showcase your artwork. I think by doing that, You'll never know if who's watching. Maybe a movie director is watching, a music director. They want to create an album cover, and this is how people will get to know you. Don't use social media for bad things. So yeah. Back then, there's no social media for me. I have to use like a a traditional way to get things done. Go to the forums and say, hey, I'm doing this, guys, comment. And then sometimes I don't get comment, but that doesn't let me down. I just keep creating.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's excellent advice. All right, well, let's get stuck into part 2. Make sure we give you enough time. So here we are. All right. Cool. Great.
Cool. So here, right now, I am fixing. So there's a bit of like a green tint over here. I'm gonna fix that. Go in here. Let's increase my cursor. Let's clean that up. As you can see, when you look at this photo manipulation, this is the hardest part to fix, obviously because of texture and lighting. But then things will get better when you keep removing stuff that doesn't matter. For example, like this. Go in here, detail parts, remove the green tint. And also, one beauty thing about Photoshop is that there's never a one way to get things done. You can always crop things using a different method, and then you can also color in a different way. So yeah, it also depends on depends on you which one works better for you. So yeah, and don't rush. That's my number one advice. Don't rush to get things done, because you will notice a lot of mistake right after you post it up somewhere or something. Yeah. Just take your time. Yeah. Oh, I do wear different hats when I do my artwork, meaning, okay, now I'm looking at it as a creative person. There are times where I close it down, I go downstairs, grab a coffee, come up, and I'll change my hats as a normal person, and I'll notice a lot of issues. So yeah, sometimes we designers do have mental blocks when it comes to like, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. Rather than just keep staring at it, my advice is just look away from the screen, just grab a book, look into it, even though you got nothing to do with the artwork they're doing right now, it will help. Because the creative block, what happens is that because you keep concentrating on it, your nerves are saying, this is it, this is how you're gonna be, there's nothing else can be done. But when you look away, the nerves will change, right? Will change, and they will focus on a different thing. When you come back, everything else will look different. And then you start noticing, this is it, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So that's what I do as well, even at work, at home. If I know I'm stuck, I know it's time to get off from my computer, just walk around. Look at your baby, just talk to your wife, and then just eat the food that you want, stuff like that.
That's good advice. I like it a lot.
That's good. Now let's do some adjustment to the bright and contrast. It's done. And also I like to play with levels as well. That's pretty cool. Hue and saturation is also one of my favorite. A lot of people like to use the hue and saturation most of the time. I like to use the lightness. It also gives some sort of like a different treatment to your photo manipulation. You can see here the difference, right? So it's the lightness and darkness. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially when you have this white tint, lightness will work the best. So I am not done fixing the top part here. I'm going to fix that quickly using the stamp tool.
There was a question that I think I missed, so I'll see if I can, if it's okay to ask now. Was how do you incorporate Hindu tradition in modern art? What guides do you follow?
Oh, there's no guide.
There's no guide.
There's no guidelines or whatever. I think you see in Hinduism, there's even from back then, there's always these stories that you grew up listening to. For example, like Ramayana, Mahabharata. It teaches you a lot of stuff, like in terms of like a meaning of life. For example, like you have to be a good person. You shouldn't be betrayal anybody. See, this is the only way to make people realize is through the stories with goddesses. If a normal person said this, or my mom or my dad said this, I will never listen. When a god said this, I will
You have
listen
to
to
listen.
it. Some people will have this mindset, right? And I was just thinking, I don't want to do an artwork for the sake of just doing artwork. I want to do an artwork that has a meaning behind it, a concept behind it. So what I did was I used Hindu goddesses to give a lesson, a tips in life. For example, stop doing this and start doing good things. And a lot of people like it, and especially because of the time zone, like Malaysia and India, it's very close by. It's just 2 hours difference, 2 or 3 hours difference. Whenever I posted something early in the morning, it's like a motivation for them. When they wake up, first thing they see is my image,
Right.
and they will say, "Oh, this is such a good image, and it has a very good message to it." And I do have a lot of people personally message me and say, "Thank you, my day have gone better." Somehow by just looking at this image, right?
Oh, that's
I think
great.
it's the energy and all that. I think it's a very good thing. Whenever you wake up, first thing is the energy. Try to work on that. Like for example, think good thing positively. Don't wake up go like, I think it's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah.
Because you do that, you're manifesting for bad things, and guess what? Everything will go bad.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
great way for you to start your day too, that you're helping people and it helps you.
Yeah, it makes me happy, right? It's like there's a mission behind it. Like I need to do, which is I need to utilize what I have, like a skill wise, and help people in this way. Yeah, even though we are all far apart, right? We are all connected still.
Absolutely. So you're just adding some more shadow into
Yeah,
the inside
because
of the ring?
correct. Because the lighting is coming from the top right, I'm just gonna make this darker and slightly, and then I'm gonna just create a new layer. So called shadows. On the light, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna color pick somewhere from here, and then soft light. I'm gonna brush this off a bit.
And in the thought of more positivity, Johanna's saying, I think I can speak on behalf of all chat that this stream has made our days much better.
Oh wow! Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
JB says, Romez, you're the best.
Oh, Davey, thanks. He's a very kind person. So
He
yeah.
is. He's a good egg, that JB.
Yeah. Fix. Just the contrast a bit. Zoom out. Okay. There's another technique to add the lighting around your subject. For example, you have to use color dodge. This is also one of my favorite. So it's here, color dodge. It has this some sort of like an intensity to it. For example, if I were to brush, okay, you can see the amount of intensity is more, which is perfect because I can now add a lighting that is, like for example, if I go in here, I know you can see there's a shadow in between and there's also light here. In order to fix that, what you do is, usually I use a guideline. For example, here I will make sure I select this area, okay, so that the light doesn't hit here, and I change my brush and I add just like that, so that it doesn't affect the other part of the skull. So when I do that, we go Control V. So by having that, you can see the difference, right? And also you can always erase that away, the small little stuff. Brush here. Okay. We're gonna apply the same thing to the guard. That's called color dodge. Okay, mask it, and let's use the same brush. Say I get this thing over here, go in here, and you can apply. It's like only at the edge. It might look very subtle, but it means a lot to the overall photo manipulation. So I'm gonna add a bit more shadows onto the back. Soft light. And you can always use the photo itself as a guideline. For example, if there's a shadow, you want to increase the shadow so that it pops up more. For example, the underneath here, the back, here's a dark spot. You can always add on the shadow so that it looks like a 3D thingy. And it's very hard to describe like once you're done with the shadow, it literally looks like it's there. It's like it's not added, like as you can see here, right? You can feel it where he put the back there and then he just jump out onto the skull. And also, it's a very important thing to feel your photo manipulation. You're not doing it for the sake of, oh, I'm putting a few things together and everything. And also, here's another tips. You can always reuse assets. For example, I already have this smoke over here. And I feel that would be nice to add another misty smoke right on at the bottom of the ring. Then it shows like there's some sort of like a depth, right? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just duplicate the smoke, Control T. I'm gonna just flip it horizontal so that it doesn't have like a repetitive pattern.
Right.
I'm gonna move it up. Now you see it's coming together, and I'm gonna just distort it, just like this, but not having the. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move the smoke to the top instead. Here, right on top of the ring instead. And go, and one more, and I'm gonna remove from the masking. Boom. Here's another tips. Because you remove it from the black background before this, right? So let me show you. Normal and screen. You can see there's a line here. It's because it's taken from the black background. In order to remove that, you just go to Control L, just press Control L, go to levels, and then you reduce the amount of darkness. It will vanish. Can you see the line is now gone? Yeah. So that's how you do. That's how you do it, so that you don't have to like mask it and then get things done. Those levels are used to remove all the black tint. Okay.
Yeah, I probably would have masked that out if I was doing it.
There
was a question. There's a question in chat about your color wheel to the left. Is that a plugin or is that default? It
is. Okay, this is something that I discovered when I can't even remember. It's super useful. So it's here. When you go to your color window, color, right? So this thing will pop up. You can always adjust it. It's your color wheel. Just select on it.
Nice.
There are many different types of spectrums that you can use. So for example, if I want to do web, of course I need the web colors, like a combo of different pixels of colors, then it will be different. Because it's a color wheel, it's easier for me to know where to move things around and everything else. So yeah, it's good for digital painters as well, I think. So yeah.
Oh, excellent.
They use that.
It's a good question. We weren't sure if it was a plugin or if it was just something we had.
Oh, it's not. It comes with Photoshop.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. There we go.
So smoke is over him. I'm gonna just do a little of masking. That is perfect. And okay, here's another thing when it comes to photo manipulation. You can always create a new layer and add some sort of like a small little thing. This is not color grading. I'll teach you guys how to do that using color lookup. This is also a function that not many people know, but once you know, this is it. This is what you're looking for. Okay, here. This is the overall display with lighting. It's just a thing to make sure that you're working towards the same color feel for the overall image. So what you do is you just pick a color. For this, of course, I want like a very yellow tint color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the color wheel and choose this and drop it in. And then here, you can do a lot of like adjustment. That's why I said this is a gift of God. Because when you do this, you can create a many different type of treatment to the overall image, right? This is me just going through the different settings of levels. Not all will work, but when you notice, you can also create your very own surreal colors. So in this, I always like a soft light. And then, because without this, then you have to do a lot of adjustment. For example, you have to go to the skull, have to go to the ground, you have to go to the stone ring here to create the contrast. But I like to apply color light, soft light on top of it so that it somehow gives me a feel of the whole thing is one. Yeah, that's the beauty of photo manipulation.
Great.
Even though you grab image from all over the place, but when you have the right colors, you get to create artwork that's so real, but still look real. Yeah. As that I'm just gonna do a bit of adjustment in for the shadows. It can be better. Again, warp, one of my favorite. Just right click on the thing and move the shadows here. That's cool. It's perfect. Okay, I would like to add more shadows to the back. Let's lock this for now.
I'll let you know we've got about 23 minutes left.
Oh, we are on time.
We're on time. That's good news. Good news.
I can get it done. No worries.
How long would you give yourself, do you allow yourself to spend on a typical project? I know it probably varies a lot, but how long would you typically spend on a project like this? If I wasn't interrupting you with all my questions.
Okay, to tell you the truth, if I have to get this done from the starting, I can get this done based on what I have in mind and the stock images. Provided stock images are all there, I can get this done in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I actually timed it. I timed it just in case, and all that. But looks like I can get it done. Yeah, 45 minutes was the time that I tracked. So it was like 45 minutes. So now I'm gonna add shadows to the guy. So here's how you do it. Because the sunlight is right at the side of him, in order to do that, all you have to do is use gradient. Okay, let me do that from the beginning. I use Polygonal Lasso. And you can see it's on top of the masking, right, of the skull. Obviously, because the shadow is on top of the skull. So I'm gonna just highlight just like that. I'm gonna just go for the gradient, and boom, I'll just put it just like that. And also, like I said earlier, you can always reuse assets. So if I'm gonna go in here, I need to do a bit of adjustment. As you can see, I need to erase all this and make it slightly softer so that it's not so harsh. Like I said, sunlight is not so hot. Okay, here I'm gonna just press Ctrl T, again my favorite, and you can move the shadows. See, I didn't even create the shadow for the other leg. Yep. So I'm gonna utilize what I have here. Yeah.
That's great.
That, move it up. Okay, work. Okay. If you think the shadow is not, the intensity is not so much there, so what you can do, you can always replicate that shadow that you have just done by just duplicating it. So I'm going to just paste right on top of it. What I did was I duplicated with shortcuts. I like to rather than just drag and put it in here to create a new layer. Oh, and shortcuts is something that's very, very important in Photoshop to get things done faster. Without it, then it's very hard for you to get things done like in a smoother way. Else you need to always click on this and go there. Very quick tips: if you want to do a quick selection, press W, and you can see your subject is selected. And if you want to do a polygonal lasso, press L. Yeah, these are things. And also, I kind of hooked up with the shortcuts because last year, I was asked by I was requested by this college called One Academy. It's one of the top design college in Malaysia to become one of their lecturer. That was it's like a life-changing experience as well for me because again, being a business student with a zero degree in design, I get to teach students to do this. So it's one of my happy moments as well.
Oh, that's great. Have you started doing that already, or is that something that's happening later this year?
I've done it for one semester. That's like 4 months. It's like a big commitment as well from my end, where every Saturday for 6 hours, I need to be committed. Where two classes, I need to teach 2 classes. So it's a huge thing, 4 months. So I need to sacrifice my family time to do this. But it was nice. Again, in order to, before I even commit, of course, I need to have a discussion with my family. My wife was like, go ahead, because she knows that's my passion. And when you get to teach all the students, you learn yourself because you have to go back and remember all the shortcuts and stuff. So it's like a reminder. But it's a good thing.
That's true. Yeah, it's something about teaching something that allows you to actually learn it more and more yourself, because you have to be certain that what you're teaching is the right thing, and it forces you to rethink, actually, is this the right way to do it? And what are the exceptions? So it really reframes the way you think.
Yeah.
There was a question on the shadow, asking, can Gaussian blur be used for the shadows? Is that something that you ever use or you don't use? Gaussian blur. I get in trouble for
Gaussian
saying
yeah, you can use Gaussian blur, but the thing is, I feel like it's not in my control. Like I can't control it. Like for example, if I were to put the Gaussian blur, it would just spread out, and I need to do a lot of settings. Like for example, how much of blurring do I need to do, right? So, but when it comes to manual way like this, it's as if I'm controlling it. Yeah, so I rather use a manual way to create the shadow because you feel it more. It's hard to describe actually. Yeah.
Great, excellent.
So that might work. I'm gonna add a bit of shadow before I show you guys what is color lookup is. More. Perfect. I'm gonna touch up a bit more on the
Yasunari is saying, Ramesh, this is really fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Believe it or not, I can do this whole day. Not the same manipulation. I can get things like because the ideas keep flowing, and in order to stop it, of course you can't stop ideas. Just that it just feels good to just keep on executing it. Of course, you have to take care of yourself. That's a very very important thing as well. Like I said, not everybody can work for long hours. So yeah, like I said, health is very important. So please make sure that you give importance to your health before you do anything else.
Yeah.
And don't rush. Again, I'm keep on highlighting the same thing. Don't rush on things. Okay, that's cool. So now here's the magic. We have done the color balance for each of this subject. And I also showed you guys how I created a overall color, a tint around it. See, without it, then everything looks flat. In order to put a color, one color overall image, what most of people do is that they will just keep on change the colors within adjustment layers here, adjustment layers, which is the color balance and hue saturation. But not many people know in all of our Photoshop we have color lookup. Once you press color lookup, this is it. This is one of my favorite. Okay, I'm going to do that again in case people didn't get it. Go down here, click on adjustment layer, go to color lookup. These are like your presets in Instagram. You know, when you take a picture on your Instagram and use all these color filters?
Right.
Photoshop has it. Okay?
So this isn't a plugin or anything. This is
no,
built in.
This is Photoshop built in. So see what happened now.
Wow.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
This is amazing. As in, by just applying this color lookup, it knows how to calculate the different layers of your Photoshop. It calculates the intensity. There's a reason why I did all these adjustments here first, because you need to get the color base right first. Once you get the color base right, and once you apply color lookup, it changed the whole image, and as if they all look as one. There's a lot more things that you can look at. For example, each of this will have a different treatment. Like for example, drop blue, meaning it removes all the blue tint from your image. And it gives a different story to it, right? So Edgy Amber, I like it because it gives me a very nice feel to it. Again, it's very hard to describe. And then you can also have a different treatments like this, foggy night. This is so cool. Like for example, you don't have to adjust every single subject of your layers. You can always apply color lookup. And also, here's a tip. You can also always apply color lookup first and then do the adjustment, whichever way. Like I said, there's never a right way to get things done in Photoshop. You can always use the reverse way. You can always put so that you know what feel you're gonna get at the end, right? Like for example, for this, I already know Edgy Amber gonna work. So yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And also we can also try the other stuff. Like for example, this is a tension green. There's also a soft warm look, right? There's also a moonlight. It gives you that dark scene look, you know, like in movies, one of the scene in Avengers. And yeah, this like not many people know this, but it's nice to just that's the reason why I want to use this opportunity to say that Photoshop, you don't have to have plugin, it's already there. It's all about exploring as well. So yeah. And
the same with a couple of people in chat have never seen this before. A lot of people saying, wow, this has blown my mind from Johanna. Yeah, I've never seen anybody use this in this way. I've seen people use color lookup before, but only like more in photography, not in photo manipulation. And I didn't realize how well it works with all of the adjustment layers that you've done, all of
Yes,
the
yes,
shadows that
yeah,
you've done. You haven't had to flatten the
yeah,
image. It's not part of an
yeah,
export. And
yeah.
how quickly and in real time you could do
Mm.
that.
Right, and also right, it's a huge thing. I gotta say this: you should never rasterize any of the smart object to get things done. It's like a number one rule: do not flatten this image. The reason is because if you're working in a big organization, these images will be a useful thing in the future. If you flatten it and you add a lot of details onto it, and the next time when you need that image and the image cannot be found anywhere else except for this PSD, guess what? You can't do anything about it because it's already flattened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's amazing.
thank you. So yeah, Photoshop. I've been like every single day I'll be discovering new things about it. And another good thing about having your Photoshop as the latest version is very important because that day somebody asked during a live session. I was with a bunch of photographers. They asked me which Photoshop version should I use. I mean, a very good example is it's like you're asking, I have an old car and a new car. Which car will go faster, accelerate faster, right?
Right.
Similarly, the new one. So when it comes to Photoshop, when you use the latest one, you get things done faster. Everything is doable. Whatever you imagine can be done here. So yeah,
Amazing. Oh, it's so cool.
I'm on time.
You're on time.
Yep, I'm
Very
done.
good.
I'm okay if there's any more questions.
Cool. Well, we got a couple. Actually, we got a couple more minutes left. So yeah, we've got a couple of minutes left for questions in there. Maybe we can have a look at some of the other lookups just while we're waiting for some of the questions that
Oh
you just
yes,
showed us, if that's
yes.
cool. Because I
Yeah.
think everyone was
So
pretty
the current
impressed.
one is okay. So I'm using the edgy amber. So if you look at two strip, meaning they only use two color combos. So you can see it's like faded, right? So that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
also you can see 3D strip. 3D strip is it will increase the saturation of your photo
It
manipulation.
makes it
So
look
without
like
it,
a movie poster from like the
yeah,
60s or something, like with Technicolor,
yeah,
like the really, deep saturated
yeah, like a
colors.
washed away. Yeah, exactly. And they also bleach pass look. But this one, what you do is again, it depends on what photo manipulation you're doing. It might not work for this, but it doesn't mean also it doesn't work. For example, if you reduce the opacity, there's another thing that you can do with it. Oh, there's another technique that I want to share.
Cool.
So right now I'm using the edgy amber. Do you guys know, since it's a part of the layer, you can also do different treatment
Wow.
within the same color lookup using the different blending modes. Like for example, I'm slowly going down to show you guys the different blending mode that's available. Literally, you can do a movie poster in
Yeah.
second by having this. Right? Like this. This is so cool. This is like a faded color. I kind of like this hue. There you go.
Yeah.
Right? It's amazing what things can do. It's like I am not even there, but I'm imagining I'm being there to create this scene. It's all possible. We all have this imagination, and to make it reality, these are the ways that I've been doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So some people, I mean, basically throughout this entire stream, there's been lots of comments about how amazing your work is and how they want to see more of you. And so we probably have questions for
Wow.
one or two more questions. But
Yes.
we got to have you back. So just in case we do run out of
Oh,
time,
thank you.
you want to come back
Thank you.
sometime?
I want to come back. I want to come back.
Putting you on the spot, it'd be really awkward if you said no.
No, no. I mean, I can always say no, but I don't want to because I really want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll do that. We'll get some more Ramez on here because it's been wonderful. It's been great. I love the positivity and the stories through your work. So one of the questions I had is how, at the very beginning, just in case those people missed it, about the telling a story within your artwork. And at the very beginning, you were telling the story. You know, this person, this character has put their bag down, then they've climbed up this skull, and then they're looking over there. Do you come up with the story before you start seeing the imagery, or do you see a bit of imagery and then start piecing together a story? What's the process there?
I get the story when I'm looking for that image. For example, I know it has to base on mountains and skulls and stuff like that. So while looking for this photo stock images, I will have like another Ramesh in me go like, oh wait, there's a skull. You can do this. You can do that. And
Right.
there's a lot of possibilities, right? For example, this guy will probably standing down there beside his back. I can do that if I want to, right? I can even rotate him or whatever. Or he's already there, standing inside the ring. I can even do that if I want. See, there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to manipulation and stuff like that. It's you have to create the story. For me, it comes together. When I look for stock images, I know there's a possibilities of creating this, right? I don't sit down and write. It's just in mind where if I see a stock image, I know there are many different possibilities that I can create out of this image, and I'll see which possibilities that will resonate with people more.
Right.
That does it give that dramatic feel to it? Does it give a positive feel to it? Do people get it? Do I need to educate people when I show this, or is it something that once I look at it, I know what you're trying to say? That's the beauty of art, right? So photo manipulation most of the time is self-explanatory. People will know when they look at it. They know, wow, this looked like a movie poster. Oh, I see a back there. And people can also imagine how he got up, and maybe he threw the nose or through the eyes, tapping onto the skull. So yeah, the reason why I also elaborate in my IG stories, Instagram posts, is that I want people to imagine while they read.
Yeah.
I think it's good to know that you have, for example, I probably tell you story this way, but when you read, you imagine it in a different way, and your imagination work differently. And what you're seeing here right now in this Photoshop is my imagination. Sharing the same file to another person will create another possibilities. I think that's the beauty of manipulation.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your work. There's been a lot of positivity in chat. A lot of, yeah, like I said before, lots of people absolutely loved spending time with you. Yu Ying in chat is saying it's almost 3 a.m. Totally awake, getting up or staying up to watch you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And yeah, we've had a great time. We'll looking forward to having you back on, and wishing you all the best, and have a wonderful Friday.
Thank you, Flynn. Thank you so much. You're such a great host. Thank you for asking all these questions. They are so great. It's something that I want to convey, and at last I did it. I'm a happy person.
Awesome. Us too. Thank you so much. And thank you, chat. We'll be back in just 30 minutes with Jeff Chen, so another amazing artist. So please, if you're available, come back, hang out with us, and we'll see you on Behance soon. And thank you again, Ramez.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.